Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today, and welcome to another edition of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce's Business Academy. I am Kayla George, Chief Communications Development and Policy Officer here at the West Virginia Chamber, and I'm joined by Lily Berrickman, our Communication and Events Coordinator. And we could not be more excited to partner with LG Nova for today's Business Academy. It is AI for small business marketing. I know that we have a lot of content to get to, so let me go ahead and introduce you to who you'll be hearing from today. Just to let you know, we will have about 10 minutes, hopefully at the end of the presentation for Q&A. So if you can, just submit your question in the chat or in the Q&A box. Lily is here to help us moderate those questions, and we will definitely get to as many as possible. So without further ado, I will introduce you to the folks that we have here today. So first is Bob Wagner. He's with LG Nova West Virginia Operations. And we have Jeff Curry, the creative head at Jeff Curry Creative, and Ning Zhang, the vice president of GTM and OnVibe, which I know that we are going to be hearing a lot about today. So thank you, Jeff, Ning, and Bob, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here. And without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Bob.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for coming. We're so excited to have you. Ning, if I get my first slide. I'm going to start off with just a little bit give you a little bit of context about LG Nova and what it is, and then what we're doing in West Virginia specifically, and kind of how that led to this webinar. So I'm sure most of you are familiar, or all of you are familiar with LG Electronics. They make TVs and appliances and so forth, and have been doing that very successfully for many years. LG Nova is a new a venture that they have to help them grow into the future by creating sort of non-hardware solutions that they can use to grow their next growth engine. So their vision really is to improve the quality of life by building new ventures that have a positive impact on the future of people on the planet. And again, that sounds noble, but in this case, of the two startups in West Virginia that we have already launched, one of them is actually in digital healthcare and one's in renewable energy. So they are in fact focused on positive impact on the future of people on the planet. And at a glance, the LG Nova corporate headquarters or head office is actually in Silicon Valley in Santa Clara, California. And they're focused both on corporate accelerator, which is basically helping to accelerate startups through both funding as well as resources and so forth. And I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing on that in West Virginia, plus partnership structures like leaning on others who've already built things and leveraging that. We have teams of entrepreneur in residence, which are experienced entrepreneurs who take over startups and work them. There's a lot of outside-in innovations. Again, as I mentioned, instead of creating everything, LG is basically engaged with over 100 startups and basically has 5,000 different startups from across the U.S. involved in their ecosystem, as well as some capital alliance partners. These are just people that are involved in the investment of capital from different walks, and then many public and private sector engagements, including the public sector engagement with the state of West Virginia, which created Nova West Virginia. So the strategic partnership with West Virginia. So I'm one of about 10 people right now, and it's growing, who are sort of permanent LG Nova people who reside and work in West Virginia, helping to build up our infrastructure. So LG Nova aims to grow the technology infrastructure across West Virginia by doing two things, both investing in new business creation and startups, but also fostering an overall technology innovation ecosystem. So what we do is both look at companies, but also try and create a more of an ongoing process as well for new ventures to come and be part of it. Through the market entry of these businesses, we really want to seek to the revitalization of the economy with new jobs and drive regional spending. So typical entrepreneurship, job creation, capital investment, and so forth. And in partnership with the state of West Virginia, LG Nova is leading an establishment of an innovation corridor across the Appalachian region, again, laying the foundation for long-term sustainable growth. So the issue isn't just come here and start some companies, it's come here, start some companies, but also sort of build an infrastructure and an ecosystem that can continue to grow and thrive on its own. So there's some core initiatives. There's an innovation center. Right now, there's one in Morgantown. There'll be one over the next year or two, also opened in Huntington. There's the Global Growth Initiative, which is providing expanded access to capital and pilots through our global technology. So as, say, a healthcare system gets launched in rural West Virginia, that can then be expanded to globally to other places that maybe have similar demographics and so forth that our healthcare startups address. Driving high-tech job growth, again, looking for one of the things we found is just for the few startups we've had there's been a lot of demand to get systems engineers, programmers, and so forth hired out of their local universities to support these companies. And ecosystem expansion really focus, we have a thing called the Grand Challenge, where we invite entrepreneurs to come and work in the incubators that we've set up here and help them start up. So we're not replacing anything that's already existing in West Virginia. We've coordinated and collaborated with investors, with the universities, with existing accelerators and so forth. And so the job is to really just kind of lean into this with everyone else and accelerate the rate of growth. So that's LG.
All right. Thank you, Bob. So definitely really happy to get a chance to talk to everybody today. So just a quick introduction for myself. As Kayla mentioned, I'm Ning. I'm the VP of GTM for OnVibe. But for most part, don't worry, we won't be talking about OnVibe too much, because what we really want to do is like really help business across the board to kind of really talk about how marketing, especially in this particular case, organic social, could help your business and what are the tips and strategies you should be leveraging this holiday season. And with me is Jeff, who's also here. Jeff is the creative director for our product and the company. So definitely he'll definitely share with you his insights as well, seeing what good creative could look like. So just a quick thing is that I always like to start off by basically kind of talk about, I think nowadays almost everybody's on social without all of us. Whether their business on social is a different question. So one of the key things I always ask people is that, quick question, whether you're doing commerce, doing service business, what is the actual amount that people spend on Black Friday in 2024? The reason why I ask that question is that we all know that Black Friday is a really, really big shopping day across the US and North America region in general, but the number keep going up. And even for myself, who are in the business, we're always impressed by the day. So I'll just give you the answer in case anybody have a question on Jeopardy. The 2024 Black Friday spending was $10.4 billion. And we're expected to exceed that this year, which is pretty amazing. The other thing we want to kind of really talk about is that why do we want to basically be on the social media? So obviously, because we want to connect with our customers, we want to be able to talk to our customers. But more importantly, a lot of the questions I get in the past, and just kind of highlight, like basically in the past, I have been on Facebook, TikTok, and a couple other companies. One of the questions I always get is that, which platform should I be on? And I could give you a definitive answer on that, but really the truly kind of what I tell people is that it depends on who your customers are and who you want to reach. So in general, like basically these are the major platforms. There are other ones out there, but for the most part, I think for most of us, these are the platforms that we care about. So there's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X/Twitter, and TikTok. And what I always tell people is that Facebook and Instagram are really, really good across the board because they have the largest user base. And because they're the same company, one of the benefits is that not for organic, but for the pay side, like if you ever do advertising, you could actually directly have the same ad running across both Facebook and Instagram in one swoop without having any difficulties, without any additional kind of work on your side. But the key thing about Facebook is that I can show you the Pew Research report. The age group for the demographic tends to skew a little bit older. So which means that if your customers are probably, I would say 30 or above, 40 or above, etc., Facebook is the perfect platform for you. For Instagram, it tends to be a little bit more skewed, a little bit younger, very similar to TikTok. And because Instagram is such a visual platform, what I always recommend is that if your business, particularly if it's a retail business that has a very high appeal visual, such as jewelry, food, or fashion, Instagram's probably the channel you want to be on because there are already people who are already on that channel looking for great visuals. And because your product is so good, you definitely want to showcase there. For service business, I always recommend, especially if you're selling to other business, LinkedIn. There's just no equivalent. While you could still do advertising on Instagram and Facebook for service business, but LinkedIn is really the one you want to be on because almost everyone who, at least within the US market, who will basically have a business or run a job, etc., they will be on LinkedIn. And it's a very powerful way for you to reach them to your organic social, meaning to post, to connect, and also to engage, etc. X Twitter has gone through a lot of changes over the last couple of years. It's still a great channel, but the way that people use it is a little bit different. So what I always tell people is that for Facebook and Instagram, people are kind of going to their other content, meaning that they're actively talking to their friends, they're actively following like great visual, like things they're very aspiring to, like for vacation pictures, etc. X, people tend to follow it for conversation with strangers, not in a bad way. So for a lot of people, and why I always tell people is that if you think about nowadays, one of the great ways for because we're in this period where travel is really difficult because the government shutdown, etc. It's a great way to get customer service. And in fact, a lot of great business use Twitter/X as their customer engagement platform for customer service. So if you have any issues, it's a great way to communicate directly with business. So as a business yourself, it's a great way for you to engage with customers who are probably, I would say, speak the loudest. They're saying, hey, this is a great business, or hey, I have an issue with this business. This is the channel that you definitely want to focus on, at least monitor. TikTok is probably the newest platform on the block. And what I always recommend for TikTok is that if you have a product or a service that skews younger, especially in the teen demographics, this is definitely where you want to be. The only difficulty is that because it's such a video platform, a lot of business I have conversations with mention that, hey, I don't have great expertise creating videos, etc. Should I still be on TikTok? And the short answer is maybe. The reason why I say maybe is that you don't have to have great videos to be on TikTok. Quite frankly, a lot of the platform, including TikTok and Instagram, reward authenticity. So we have all seen videos on TikTok that is from a chef who might not be great on camera, but their food is amazing and you still follow them. And that's why you still want to be engaged on TikTok. However, and practice makes perfect, I always tell people is that no one starts off being a great storyteller on TikTok or Instagram, but over time, you will get better. And definitely people appreciate that and they will definitely follow, increase your engagement on the landscape. So these are the major platforms. Now, the key thing before I jump to the next section is, oh, sorry, just want to show one quick side note regarding the, okay, excuse me for 1 second. One side note I want to share is that this is Pew Research, which is a nonprofit research center across the US. I highly recommend that if you want to do some research, hey, which platform or demographic is my customers? This is a great resource. So the reason why is that they did all the research for you already regarding all the different platforms that we just talked about and how the age distribution happened. So as you could kind of see here, Facebook tend to have the highest number of higher age, older adults, etc. While the youngest one is always going to be on TikTok, where everybody below a certain age is going to be on TikTok. And YouTube, surprisingly, we don't talk about enough, is also a social platform and has a huge across the board spectrum of everyone. The only thing about YouTube is that I always recommend people is that if you're going to do YouTube, you do want to put a little bit of effort in it because they tend to be a long form video. You do want to create content and you want to spend some time practicing creating great content on YouTube. So that's where we're kind of talking about the different platforms. Now, the other question I always get is that building a social media strategy, where do I start? As I mentioned before, now that you know all the different platforms, what you should do is that you should choose 1 or 2 platforms if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you have already probably have a presence on the media platforms. The reason why I always recommend that just taking 1 or 2 is that you don't want to spread yourself too thin. We all seen basically what I call abandoned web pages or abandoned like Facebook pages for business. Like basically you go there and you can see that they created probably like years ago, but there's no engagement on it. They don't do anything on it. So it's very difficult for people to kind of really say that, hey, it is still operating, etc. So it's probably better that instead of being on all the platform, it's much better to be narrow and say, hey, my customers are here, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, let's just focus on those two platforms and skip the rest. And this is why I always recommend for all business, just focus on, if you have the resource, you don't have the resource, just focus on one or two platforms to start with. And then provided you get additional resource, you get really good at it, expand your reach across other platforms. And where to start is that you can always look at your competitors. This is where competitor analysis comes in really handy. That if you see you have customers that basically you have competitors who are in the same market and they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, and they're doing great, you probably should be there as well. If you have customers or competitors who are great on YouTube, then you should be there as well. And then think about your content creation capabilities in the sense that, especially for TikTok and for Instagram, you want great visuals, you want great photography, you want great video. So the question is that, as I mentioned before, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to put a little bit of effort into it to learn, like basically, how do I take a great picture? How do I create great video? And then focus there to basically kind of build out. We'll hire someone to do it, depending on the situation. Ultimately, what I always tell people is that don't worry too much, because end of the day, it's your primary business is your primary business, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's a fashion retailer, whether it's something else. Social is just an outreach strategy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to help you reach your business goals. So kind of the antidote I always give to people is that I have a friend who used to ask me, he actually has a pet supply store in New York City, and they do pretty well. And he has a social channel for his own dog because he loves dogs. And he almost has about, I think, up to 500,000 followers now on the dog, which I'm like, that's great. He goes, and then I ask him, like, how many pet supplies have you sold to your channel? And he told me 0. And I told him, like, okay, that's great. You're definitely, your dog's a social influencer or creator, but it had nothing to do with your business. If you want to link the two, you probably should think about, like, do you want your dog to sell your dog supplies? You might want to link the two. So that's the key thing. So by all means, have fun, but also just remember what your business goals are. Whether do you want people to discover your business, like, hey, we have great seafood here, or we have great fashion latest collection here, or do you want people to just like follow you because it's a fun? You could do either one. There's no wrong answer. It's really what you want to do. The other question beyond that is that, okay, now that I choose the platform, let's say Instagram is a platform to be on, what should I post? Like, should I post my daily like breakfast? Should I be posting like, my walk? And the answer is there's no right answer. The answer is that you should focus on 3 to 5 things that aligns with your audience care about. So for all of us, we have seen restaurants. I personally follow this great Ethiopian restaurant in the Bay Area. Ironically, I've only been there once, but I love it because they actually show behind the scene kitchen, how they make the food, the different spices they use. And it's amazing because it keeps me top of mind that next time I'm thinking about Ethiopian food, that's what I want to go to because I'm constantly thinking about them, like seeing their videos on my Instagram feed, etc. So that's kind of the same thing for any business. If you have a great business that you want to focus on, that, hey, we want to basically show you great content on how we make this product or how we service our customers, these are great channels. But the key thing what I always mention is that it's more for them than for you. So instead of doing a hard sell, like basically, hey, just like try to do an ad, like basically, here's what our business does, etc. Don't do that. Really focus on what they care about. Like basically, for people who are selling fashion, for example, instead of talking about like basically how amazing your store is, you have all the different collections. People that doesn't engage people. What really people care about is like show one particular dress from one particular collection. That's the latest one that people say that I've never seen this before. And you could kind of give the backstories like this collection is from New York from 1970s and this great designer did it. Those are the behind the scene things people love because they can't get that anywhere else because even people who walk into store, they really get that level of insight or behind the scenes look at a particular item. And those are the things that work really well on social media. So those are things that you definitely want to focus on. And some people, I always tell people, I get this question too. Should I be funny? I'm like, are you funny in real life? If you are, great. Obviously be funny. But if you're not, don't force it because it's just going to come off awkward. So just be yourself on social media and people will appreciate it for the most part. As I mentioned before, so really kind of recap, really understand your demographics, like who are your customers? What are the age groups? Where do they live? What are the things they're interested in? Create genuine connection, social media. Just make sure that basically kind of create content that's really for them versus for you, and then engage with them. Like people always have questions. Like I remember posting questions to a restaurant, like, "Hey, are you open on this particular holiday?" And they answer right away, which I was surprised. I was expecting 24-hour turnaround, but they responded right away. It's great. It's kind of like the behavior change because in the older days, I think most of us would basically pick up the phone and say, hey, uh, what do you have this particular recipe? What do you have this particular item? Nowadays, most people just because they're already on social, they just directly engage on social. And that tends to happen a lot, especially for the younger demographic. And the other thing is consistency beats content every time. So what I mean by that is one of the fears for all of us, not just for business, for people who are posting on social media, the question they always ask is that, should I be posting this? Is this good enough compared to other people? Don't worry about any of those things. It's better to be consistent. What happens over time is that for a business, I recommend is that you should at least be posting once a week. You don't have posts every day, but for certain business, you probably do want to post every day, but minimally, you should be posting once a week with some kind of information keep top of mind. And the other reason is that if you build that consistency, people actually follow you. They know that, oh, you know what, this particular retailer always have a new drop, a limited drop on Fridays. So I want to check their social media to follow them so I can see what the latest product is coming out on Friday. So those are the kind of key things that you want to do. One of the examples I always give people is that who really does this really well. They start off as a small business. Now it's much, much bigger. It's Crumble Cookies, which I think most of us know. They have an amazing social media presence, and they do limited collection drops every week. And almost all of us, well, we love sweets anyway, will follow them just to see what the latest like new creation are weekly. And kind of recap a little bit down. Now that you have a social media presence, you decided what you want to post, you decided who you want to engage. How do you know you're successful? So these are kind of the key metrics for most social media platforms you could use just to say that we're probably doing the right things. So what I mean by engagement rates is like when you post stuff, do people comment? Do people like? Or do people share your content? Those are the key things that you want to basically just kind of measure. Because if you don't have any engagement, and it takes time, what I always kind of explain to people is that in the beginning, you'll have very few followers, engagement rate will be low. That's okay. Over time, you will build that to consistency and people will engage as long as you're consistently posting. And what you should, one of the gold standards why we use is shares. Because if you have people sharing, one, you're not paying for that sharing. That's great. That's additional media mentions that you're getting for free. But more importantly, you're posting content that people care about enough that they want to share with somebody they know, their friends, their family, etc. So you want to watch for those. It's like, what are they sharing? Why does it resonate with them? Those are the things that you probably should create more content for. Feature impressions are okay. They're not the whole answer. So that means that basically, hey, I posted this Instagram post. I see that there's 5,000 people who saw this. Okay, I mean, but did they take any actions? That's why I say that it's not the only metrics. Those are just kind of things just to know. Click-through rate is a little bit different. So for certain social media channels, etc., like on TikTok, you can actually put a URL in there, and you can say click to directly to my store, or click to directly to see the latest collection, etc. You probably want to just kind of keep an eye on it to see that, oh, you know what? I literally posted this new recipe on my website and then I mentioned on social media, and then people on my posts are clicking to see the recipe. Maybe I should focus on those things. And then cost for a acquisition, that's more for the paid media side. So we could always keep that separate. But if you do decide, what I always kind of mention is that it's really easy on both Facebook and TikTok, that if you have a post that's doing really well, you could actually pay a little bit of money and boost it. So Facebook call it boost. TikTok, I believe they call it something else. But the idea is that you could get additional reach people who are outside your follower count to basically see this particular post. So it's still organic post, but you're just paying money to basically kind of show it to a broader audience. That's what they mean by pay acquisition. It's I would say that you don't always have to do it. Like I always mention that for most business, especially small business, you want to be obviously you're very careful about what you spend on. You want to basically watch the money, but occasionally it might make sense just to boost it to kind of expand your reach to get additional people to know about your business. And ultimately, don't worry about all the vanity metrics, etc. Just focus on basically creating great content over time. It will work. And that's why I would highly recommend for everyone. So just quick things, like there are tools out there that I do want to mention that basically you could help you kind of over time because we all need different tools to do. So OnVibes Us, which will give you a little bit more information about how we basically help business use social media. Canva, which almost I think all of us know. If you don't, it's a great free tool, design tool that people say that, hey, I want to create image with some words like basically showcasing like this is the 1980 collection, etc. You could do that using Canva for free. It's just canva.com. Analytics tools, Most of you, if you have bigger business where you have more time, I do recommend it. It makes life a little bit easier. So there's such things as Hootsuite and Sprout. They're two big social media tool management companies. So what they do is that for people who, let's say, have 5 different platforms on social media and they're posting consistently like 3 posts a day, that's a lot of work for a business owner who are already running the business to do. So these tools could help you schedule your posts and then basically kind of help you track like, okay, automatically post this post to YouTube on Tuesday, post this post to Instagram on Monday, and then also track the engagement. Oh, by the way, this post got 4,000 views. This post got 30% click through, etc. It's a really analytic tool to use, but for most small business, you probably don't need this. I do recommend it if you have a very good social media presence and you have multiple platforms, this might be useful. And once again, that was the answer to the kind of the trivia question before. What was the 2024 Black Friday? 11.4 billion. And we will probably definitely exceed that this year. So in general, like some great tips, because we're in the holiday season right now, what people always do is that, how do I basically kind of engage the customer right before the holidays on social? So this is a typical plan that I give to most clients to say that if you want to basically engage your customer right before the holidays, it doesn't have to be New Year's, Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. It could be any holiday such as a birthday. It could be holiday like July 4th, etc. This is probably the plan you want to do. So you don't want to do the day of because it's probably a little bit too late. You should really start 4 weeks before, like a month before. So this plan is that basically you should start thinking about a series of content that you could post over the coming months to really build out anticipation to one, like, hey, we have this great new recipe with this new order for holidays. You should follow us to see more as we drop more content. So people will follow you and basically they're anticipating basically what's coming down the road. 2 to 3 weeks before, you want to kind of just tease some of the more answers. So instead of just like holding to the last day, you want to give them a little bit tease. Like, by the way, for this holiday, we're going to make a special pie, and this pie is going to using these typical ingredients. We don't want to show you exactly the full amount is, but we want to show you basically what kind of possibly what could look like. 1 week before, you want to say, okay, you know what? We're almost there. By the way, if you want to get an early preview, and most of us, if you've seen the bigger retailers do this, which is like put your email in on the website so we could basically kind of inform you beforehand when we drop this. Now, this is critical, not just for social. The reason why I always recommend people to do email catcher is this kind of probably getting a little bit technical. If you have an e-commerce business, because on the iPhone iOS changes, the cookie data is only good for 7 days before they deprecate it, or 30 days, I should say, probably about 30 days now. What that means is that in the old days, if I run an e-commerce website, when you come to visit my website, I don't know your name, but I could probably anticipate based on the cookie that this person came to visit. And then if you come back again, let's say 2 months later, I could see that, oh, this same person came back to my website, check out this particular barbecue grill, etc. So I know that basically maybe I should market it to them, etc. Nowadays, because of iOS privacy changes, you can't do that because once a person get past 30 days, I don't know who they are because the cookie get deprecated. That means, well, if that happens, if they come back again, I just think it's a new person. There's no way for me to know. So what a lot of business do, and you see on a lot of retail website, when you land on their website, they say that, hey, type in your email address for a special offer, etc. That's the reason why, because they want to capture your email address, embed a cookie. But beyond that, what it allows you to do is that even the person doesn't come back, you could re-engage them to email, say that, hey, by the way, thank you for checking out this website. This holiday's coming up. We're about to drop the new collection. Click here to check out the new collection on the day, etc. So it's a really good way without paying money for ads, basically for you to be to capture the content people who are already interested in a product because they came to your website, they put their email down, and then to re-engage them to kind of complete the purchase. That's the key reason why you always want to do that. And then finally, launch week, the week of, like let's say Christmas, etc. You probably want to basically start sending out targeted campaigns like, this is a great holiday season. Here's a product that we're launching for Christmas. By the way, just to remind you, our cutoff for shipping for Christmas is going to be December 14th, because after that, we might not get there before Christmas, etc. So these are kind of key things to keep top of mind for customers to say that, you know what, I really need to probably buy this now. I've been looking at this because I know if I don't buy it by December 14th, my child's not going to get this bike until January, etc. So those are key things that you want to engage. So that's a typical media plan that we will build for holiday season or for any holidays in general. And really, just like any business, it's a relational business. You don't want to just do it once. Once you capture their email, you want to continue to engage after holidays because what you want to do is that for most of us in the e-commerce business, we want to build lifetime value. So we want to have a great product that we want to continually sell to the same customers because it's much cheaper to acquire the same customer versus acquiring a new customer. So you want to make sure that even at the holiday, you want to send thank yous for people who purchase your product, provided they give you permission. You want to basically reinforce your brand, just kind of say, hey, by the way, holiday's over, here's the great things. And third is that basically create like basic customer who are really engaged with you, follow you on social, give you email, purchase goods for you, really reward them because it's amazing how great customers are the best advertising that you could have without paying for it. Because I think we all have done it. We have received great service where we have a great product somewhere. We tell our friends, we tell our family, and that's the best, I would say, recommendation you could get for free, and you can't get it anywhere because that's genuine. Those are the key things that you always want to do for a holiday season or for any kind of business. It's really to capture their attention, make the sale, but also continue that relationship beyond the holidays and beyond any particular day to say that we will always be here for you and we want to basically offer the best product so they could become your customer champions. And just a quick side tip. By the way, I haven't talked too much about OnLive, which we will talk about a little bit later. But if you want to take a preview, feel free to scan the QR code, which is go to our website, which is onlive.co. We could kind of show you a little bit what we do for our product, which is really OnLive is built. It's an AI tool to really help business build content that's relevant for their customers. And without further ado, let me turn it off to Jeff. So Jeff, feel free to show your case.
Okay, thank you, Nate. And just confirming, 12:45 we're done, right? That's not when questions start. Somebody can confirm that for me. I'll move quickly. Is that correct? Nate, I'm asking you.
You may want to
12:45?
go Eastern time, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm in
Yes,
Colorado.
that's correct. We have about 13 minutes left.
Okay, I'll move quickly, guys. So from creating Super Bowl commercials to helping small businesses get traction in social media, ideas have a lot in common. And for ideas to really be considered great, they have to be strategically grounded. They start with a why. Why does this idea matter to your audience? Why is it a good idea? Let's move on, Nate. So insights are really the ingredients of strategy. Strategy is comprised of small bits of information that can really be the catalyst for the whole campaign effort. So insights reveal why people care, why they click, why they share, why they buy, or why they ignore you completely. So I'm going to focus on the first part of the whole creative process, which is using insights to generate ideas that your customers are going to care about. So this first little case study is Dove's latest campaign in what is really one of the best examples of insight-based marketing ever. They started the Real Beauty campaign in early 2000, which is based on this insight that modern culture is creating body issues for women based on unrealistic expectations. They've created 2 breakthrough campaigns, and this is the latest. And unfortunately, this is now affecting the daughters of the women that the campaign was originally designed to protect or to connect with. And this one is about 10-year-olds. Go on to the next one, Nate. Next, it really takes this kind of insight to drive work that could have this positive kind of influence on women in these days, right? So you have this young girl, 10 years old, who is now as worried about skincare as her mother is. Is my skin aging? That's the insight here, that girls through social media and connecting with their friends and other sources are starting to worry about this stuff. And so Dove is bringing attention to this really kind of important matter to try to connect with both moms and kids. You'll see kind of this moving down to kids to try to help them realize it's okay to be a kid. You have nothing to worry about. But it's using celebrities and all these different channels that Ning has talked about to spread that word and ultimately build this affinity for the Dove brand. Okay. So if you're creating content that doesn't have any connection to your customer or insights that you can glean one way or another, you should really be evaluating, is this content that I would have expectations? And certainly don't expect it to go viral. Base it on things your audience cares about. Okay. So what makes ideas great other than they have insights? This happens to be my favorite campaign from 2025, this Google Pixel ad taking a shot at iPhone, the Vanilla Pro campaign. If you've seen this, it's fantastic. But it's relevant, it's on trend, it's targeting iPhone users that really have just been stuck, and really what was most the innovative product is kind of now a little passe. It's vanilla. Is it connected to you? Is your content connected to you authentically? Or is it just something you're borrowing interest from? Is it distinctive? This is where branding comes in. Can you say this and yet everybody else can? If you can start to create messaging that is unique to you, then it really can stand out in a competitive marketplace. Value just means, are you delivering on, you know, what your people really want to see? Do they want to be entertained? Do they want to be educated? Or are you going to incent them in some way? And in the end, you have a combination of insight leading to an idea, and that together forms the content. So let's break down a couple of these. You know, this is just a simple equation: insight for a social post. It feels like a personal milestone, a mission to Mars, and this company really understands that. That's the insight. They created this whole visual vernacular of space travel and excitement around a launch. So there's the insight, the idea, and the execution. You see how these two things work together to create the actual post. And then just one more. This one, you know, appliances often are shown in the context of, you know, stainless steel finish and features. This appliance store, Taylor's Appliance, is really kind of using this insight that the kitchen is where family moments happen. Appliances are there. If they do their job well, we get more time together. And it's not about features. It's really showing these relatable interactions with family. That's the insight, the idea, and then this is their execution of it. It's easy to relate, easy to like this company, because if it feels right to you, you're likely to maybe think they're a little different than another appliance seller. I think we can probably skip these. These are just, there's just two more, and I really want to allow time for people to ask questions. You know, insights, hold on one second, let me get this one in. Insights are really everywhere, and Ning mentioned it, but it's your job to find them, right? You have to go get these bits of strategy and understand your customer. The social platforms offer this. You know, you have a great continued source of dialogue with customers. You could survey them. You can use some of these AI tools that Ning mentioned. You really can look at your own service and sales patterns and ask questions, but pay attention. And these tools, these modern tools, modern marketing tools like OnVibe can put all these pieces together for you. It can put it all together and generate the beginning of content that can really move your business. But I would encourage you to kind of spend some time thinking about this. This is my last slide coming up. And really just commit to finding an insight, something that matters to your customers, something that you can look back in your social analytics and see what worked, and continue to try to dial in your message with a focus on your customer, and just see how that works over 3 posts and see what you can learn, and check out what an automated service can do to help streamline that process for you. Oh, or you just do what Dr. Bill does and just throw it all together on a single ad like this and let your customers figure it out. That's a joke. Okay.
All right, thank you, Jeff. All right, thank you, everyone. We definitely want to open up for questions. So just one quick highlight. So thank you for joining us. The key thing I want to mention is that basically everything we talk about are hopefully that can help your business to kind of take it to the next level on social media and connect with your customers. So what we do on Vibe, just a 1 minute spiel. What we do on Vibe is that we have an AI tool that's built, and there's a free tier, by the way, you could try it, that allows any business to link up to their professional social Instagram account or creator account, and then it automatically scans. Remember, I mentioned one of the key things what people ask is that, what should I be posting? So this is kind of the beauty of this tool. What this tool does is that it scans your Instagram account, see what you've been posting, see what's working, and then automatically, daily, using AI to generate new ideas for you. That, by the way, we see that you have engagement a lot on this particular recipe post, etc. It will the next day say that, hey, for this particular holiday, maybe you want to focus on recipe for apple pie, you want to focus on recipe for pumpkin pie, etc. It automatically does that for you. So it really takes some of the load off, because one of the key things for creators, if you ever hear the term creator fatigue, is because every day they need to come up with new ideas about what to post. And that's what OnVibe is built to do, to really help people create organic posts, but then give you the idea to really to say, hey, you know what, maybe you should be creating a post on this particular topic. You should be connecting with these customers here. And then there's additional stuff that's coming down the line, which if you sign up for the tool, I promise to kind of show you what's coming down the road. There's a lot of great features that we're still building for. So by all means, like, I do want to open up to questions. So Kaylin, I'll turn it back to you.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for the presentation. As someone who has formerly done social media training for businesses, I know how important it is, and this hit all of the highlights, all of the things that we talked about. So thank you again. I know we've heard a lot of great things about OnVibe, and it's a new rollout. I can't wait to see how businesses implement this. We do have some questions. Just want to let you know, if you do have a question, please put in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we are monitoring that. We know some people are joining us by phone and actually have texted us some questions in. So I'm going to let Lily start with it. And please, if you have any other questions, just put them in the chat in the Q&A and we'll get them asked.
All right. One of our first questions is, and this could, any of the three of you that would like to answer this one, is what is your personal favorite feature of the OnVibe platform?
I mean, I can take a shot at that. I think that what I was really showing as part of my presentation is the link between meaningful insights and ideas. Instead of just going in and creating something, spend a little time to kind of mine for this great insight, generate an idea, and then go about creating content. It's really the way that we create everything. I've been doing this for 30 years, and OnVibe is automating the process that is the hardest piece of this, to come up with important things that your audience will care about. And that's really the key feature we're basing it on. And as Ning said, it will ultimately go all the way to creating the content for you. But this is the first critical step.
Wonderful, thank you. We had another question just come in live here. And what is the relationship between LG Nova and OnVibe?
Should I take it, or Bob, do you want to take it, or?
You can take it.
Okay, great. So sure. So LG Nova, as Bob mentioned, is really the venture arm for LG. And what OnVibe is a company that's incubated within the LG Nova ecosystem. So eventually it will be an independent company as well, but right now it's funded as well as kind of supported by really the large LG Nova system. In addition, what kind of really does LG Nova does in particular for us and also for other companies as well is really to support us in the sense that how can we build company that support the community, whether that's West Virginia, whether that's elsewhere as well. So that's kind of the key thing, how we're related.
Yeah, and just a quick thing to that too is, as part of Nova West Virginia, we basically did some of the original pilots for OnVibe with West Virginia companies. So we found some very eager startups that thought it was going to be great and are really anxious about, not anxious, but anticipating kind of rolling it out. So that's the other part too. So it kind of fits in nicely in all of our discussions.
Thank you for all those insights. Another one we just got in is, for an early stage tech startup that's still pre-revenue and actively running pilot programs, what types of content should they focus on sharing to build credibility, momentum, and audience engagement before the full product launch?
Yeah, that's a great question. So without further information regarding what industry they're, what vertical they're in, so the general recommendation is that you want to show, and this is kind of repeating ourselves, but you want to show insight, because the key thing is that for a smaller startup, what I always tell people is that as a startup, you're competing against larger players with more resources, such as more name recognition. So you can't really go out there as like, we're another widget that does this. It doesn't apply. What you really want to do is that you want to showcase the unique, specific things that your product or service could do that no other platform could do. So traditionally, one of the Bay Area incubators, the favorite lines, like build something that your customer wants. So if you're a startup in whatever space you're in, you're probably building because you're solving a particular customer problem. But the thing is that you're solving it probably a little bit different than what the existing established players are doing. That is the key content that you want to focus. You want to talk about the uniqueness, how we could do it better, how we can maybe possibly do it cheaper, or how we could do it faster. Those are the key things that people care about, because what I always tell people is that, and this is not in a bad way, no one wakes up daily to think about what new products out there do I want to try. What they're waking up to say is like, hey, you know what, my coffee tastes kind of burned. I wonder if I want a new coffee maker that's a little bit better. They want to solve a particular problem. So that's why I always recommend for content as well for startups, is that focus on the unique factor that your business has, advantages that have other business, and really kind of create content on multiple platforms. If you're a service business, you probably should be on LinkedIn. If you're a retail business or e-commerce, you definitely should be on TikTok, should be on Instagram. So those are the key contents. The other thing is that, just as I mentioned before, consistency. Because it takes time for content to resonate with people, you want to at least do it on a regular. So for newsletters, for example, I would say that you should do a newsletter at least once a month. For emails, you probably at most should do it bi-weekly. Any more than that, you tend to get drop off because people don't want to receive too many emails. Those are the key things.
Thanks, Ning. Another question, and just from, statewide businesses that are joining us, what would you say to businesses who might be hesitant about implementing AI into their social media marketing strategy? I know that you have worked a lot with different companies. What would you tell businesses about that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's a concern. I would say that basically they're correct to kind of think about it. So key thing is that this is kind of like a new technology, which brings a lot of definitely advantages. But at the same time, everybody's correct. We're hesitant. Like any new technology, we want to know, like, hey, is it going to harm my business, etc. So without kind of hearing etc. So for first thing first, for OnVibe, you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to create like random content, because what it's doing is that it's reading your content and then basically giving you ideas, especially at this stage. So you still have to basically to say that I want to use this idea to create content against, etc. So that's the first part. Now, in general, in speaking in general for the AI industry in general, what I would say is that kind of read the fine print a little bit, like in the sense that a lot of the business, and it's not in a bad way. So a lot of the AI companies, when you upload your company's content, etc., they're also learning from it. And we don't do that, by the way, just to clarify that. But for other companies that does this, the question is that, are you putting any proprietary information out there? And for a lot of businesses, no, because your service business is actually information public anyway, so there's nothing wrong with it. But if you have a business that has proprietary information, you probably want to read the fine print and just at least talk to the people you do want to use the tools, like, hey, how is my information being used? Is it private only to me, etc.? Those are good questions, and you definitely should ask it.
It's great to hear about OnVibe. Not just, pulling from anywhere, but it sounds like if OnVibe were able to do some social media marketing, it would be, they could find the uniqueness about the company and capitalize on that to cross post on multiple different social media platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just in general to talk to Ning's thing is you should look for AI to kind of facilitate what you do, not to take it out, not to replace it, right? So anytime when you're not somehow involved in curating or whatever, it's, you've probably put over reliance on it. And that's generally speaking for most things. Some of the best AI are the tools. I mean, I use it as well, but I always, curate it and look at it and make sure that I understand what it's doing. So it doesn't
Well,
replace that.
That's where we are right now. I mean, you're gonna hear a lot about automating your entire social. It's something that you will watch closely. You know, you have to do this. It's your responsibility to do this. And you know, these tools will get better and gain your trust. And then, you know, we will see automation happening completely and we'll trust it and do a great job. But we can't just, you know, take our hands off the wheel and close our eyes. I think anybody would probably be skeptical of that. But the day is coming. It's getting better and better on every aspect of AI in terms of social media strategy, creative implementation, and this whole loop of staying engaged with your customer. It's something whole agencies really focus on this, and we're getting to the point of really kind of simplifying it to the point where somebody can just stand back and take pieces of this and allow it to be kind of run for them. But again, it has to be done with every person's trust being earned, I think is the way I would see it.
Well said. We did have another question regarding content, and this one was directed for Ning. In the example of the pet shop owner and his social dog, what are some examples that you would link the two to drive business through content?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for him, I could tell you like basically the advice I give him. I told him that which way do you want to go? Because he loved his dog, obviously, and that's why he did it. He actually didn't create the account to sell more pet supplies. He literally, and this is kind of interesting, he literally created a pet store because he loved pets, so he loved his dog. So he wanted to basically get like supplies, etc. He has like organic trees, all that stuff. So what I told him is like, hey, if you want to make your dog an influencer, like keep it separate. Like that's fine, like nothing wrong with it. But do you want it to like help your business? He was like, yeah, it would be nice. So what we did was that basically I we tested this strategy. I think it's working. Like to be honest, I haven't seen the latest data. So what we do is we do 1/5. So what I mean by that is that for every 5 posts, that's really just like his dog running around eating all that stuff. We do one post that's almost like a not like a sponsor post, but a post that's like his dog actually like eating the latest toy. And then for Instagram, you can actually do direct links. So I told him to link it directly to his e-commerce shop. So we just want to test it out because we don't want to do a hard sell because people hate hard sell. I think we all do. So they really say, hey, by the way, this great dog toy, like, you know, you want to try it? Like basically, etc. It's here. Just like, by the way, I love this dog toy. So he could get a little bit additional commerce out of it. The other thing is that he was like, I want to go viral. And that's the kind of why I always tell people is like, you don't want to go viral. The reason why is that viral by its very nature, and Jeff could speak to this, is lightning in a bottle. If any marketing agency tell you that they can make your content go viral, they're either lying or they're probably just over-promising. The reality, that's why we tell people consistency beats virality every time. It's that as long as you constantly post content, once in a while something will go viral, and that's the way it should be. If you're just trying to get shock factor to get viral, that's great, but you're probably not going to get the results you want. So for him, what I did was that basically for every 1/5 posts, eventually, by the way, he also talked about like, by the way, just let everybody know, thank you for like following my dogs, etc. He did one video, which is like, I love pets. He actually speaks very genuinely on the video. Like, I love pets. You should, by the way, if you love your pets too, I created the store just so we have really good high quality pet toys, pet treats, etc. Feel free to support me and support my dog by checking this out. And that one day, he literally got a boost. You could see the stats on the website. He got a lot more visits. Sales, he didn't tell me, but I'm thinking he increased. So that's basically what we did.
It's great seeing that instant gratification sometimes, you know, when you post something or you post a new link and you see your analytics just go up and up and up, probably no better feeling for a business owner. I know we're a couple minutes past our time, but there is one question in the Q&A box and we are here to answer the questions. So we had a follow-up question from Rich asking if Reddit is a good place to begin conversations. And if so, is there, you know, a different sort of strategy? You know, you said e-commerce, you know, TikTok, things like that. What are your thoughts about Reddit? And if so, what type of content would you post on there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Reddit is an amazing channel. I'm on it and a lot of people on it. So for those people who have been on it, what makes Reddit amazing is also what makes it so difficult as a marketing platform. And it should. So if you try to post promotional content, etc., you will get shut down by the moderator really hard, as it should be. Because what makes Reddit special, and they actually have this stance, is like if you see their latest earning report, etc., they're like, hey, we don't do AI. We want real humans have real conversations, give real genuine advice. So for business, this has been successfully done by a couple business, but it's really a lot of hard work. So it's not like for most social, you could just start posting anything. For Reddit, you have to build a reputation. So what I mean is that if you're a service business, let's say you're a car mechanic, for example, you own a car repair shop, etc. Instead of going onto Reddit, say that somebody's asking like, hey, I'm looking to repair a car, like in West Virginia town, etc. Check out this shop. It doesn't work because people see that, oh, your literally profile is only 1 day old and you just posted this comment just for this, you'll probably get deleted. What you want to do is that really build your expertise reputation, like by helping people. Like people ask, hey, my car is clunking, like this particular noise. Why is it happening? So instead of talking about your shop, you should be on there like talking like, hey, if your car is clunking, do you want to check the rack and pinion? If you have a mechanic that you trust, you probably want to look at this. Or if your car is leaking, you don't know what fluid is leaking, what color is it? Answer those questions. Over time, what happens is that your karma point goes up. And then when you're ready, then when people start asking questions like, hey, my car is doing this, I really want to get a specialist, check it out. Then you could post the answers like, hey, by the way, you know, you should check out this particular place, call this number, etc. People will be more welcoming because they will literally click on your profile and say, oh, this person's literally been on Reddit for a couple of years. They have been really helpful to everybody. That trust factor is built. So that's why I say Reddit is hard work. If you want to do it, it definitely, you need to put a lot of pre-work into it, almost like I would say a year of pre-work before you could really kind of make an impact.
Yeah, sounds like it's the slow game.
Yeah.
Versus the fame of maybe some things that go viral. Well, thank you again so much. I know that AI, it seems like one of those things that's becoming common in everyday conversations. Everyone wants to talk about it. People are using it. AI's, could be a coworker or best friend. And just like Jeff said, it is building that trust more and more. And it's great to, see it used as a useful tool for these businesses. So we appreciate you. We appreciate LG's investment in West Virginia. And we especially appreciate you supporting West Virginia businesses from the big to the small, anything that we can do to help. So thank you again so much for joining us. I do want to let everyone know that this recording will be available on wvchamber.com. So if you need to rewatch it, it will be there and also on our social media channels. So Bob, Jeff, and Ning, thank you again so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.